And we would now invite Dr. Girija Wagh, laparoscopic approach to endometriosis and adenomyosis, cutting edge techniques and recent advantages.
Good afternoon, everybody. And at the outset, I would like to thank the organizers, especially Dr. Mishra and Dr. Milla, for calling me here and giving me this wonderful opportunity of sharing whatever little I know about the challenges that we face with endometriosis and adenomyosis treatment. I bring you greetings from, why is this not moving? Yeah. From Pune, Bharati Vidyapeeth University Medical College. I head the department, and we are a center of excellence for maternal fetal medicine. We also have laparoscopy, infertility, fetal medicine, and gynec cancer fellowships. And based on all this, with my experience of last 32 years, I bring this presentation to you. So we all know endometriosis and adenomyosis are chronic gynecological conditions that significantly impact the quality of life of women, especially due to pain, dysmenorrhea, dyspareunia, and infertility. And despite there being a lot of research, the definitive cure for these conditions remains elusive, and treatment often focuses on managing symptoms. Now, there have been three very, very important evolutions which change the entire landscape to approach these conditions. One is the advent of minimal access surgery, better diagnosis and treatment, MRI, especially for invasive disease, because now we are able to categorically look at which tissue planes are involved, and robotic surgery, because it's definitely contributed to precision and flexibility. So whenever we look at minimal invasive surgery, it is considered the gold standard for surgical approach, and there are a huge lot of novel surgical techniques which are continuously developing, and these are the ones which I'm going to discuss here today. Now, these innovations are with aims to reduce the disease recurrence, improve fertility rates, provide better long-term symptom relief, and in addition, robotic assisted laparoscopy has revolutionized the treatment of complex cases such as DIEs, offering improved precision and efficacy. And therefore, in the next 14 minutes, we'll explore the latest advancements in surgical approaches, the clinical efficacy, and future directions, emphasizing the need for individualized multidisciplinary care to optimize patient outcomes. Now, when we look at the recent advancements in laparoscopic surgery for endometriosis, one of the most important pivotal thing is correct diagnosis. And this is a wonderful paper which has come from the God's et al.'s group. And herein we find that whenever we are doing diagnostic laparoscopy, maybe we are missing quite a few cases. And for that, they have proposed that we can fill in fluid. So this is called as transvaginal hydrolaparoscopy, wherein you put in fluid inside the peritoneum. Either if you have done a diagnostic hysteroscopy precedingly, you can consider using that. But if the woman's tubes are blocked or the tubal epithelium is affected, then you may consider putting it through the pouch of Douglas. What you are seeing here is even a similar technique can be used for sonographic evaluation. I don't know why I'm not able to get my pointer there. Yeah. So even sonographic evaluation can be done by sonography guided. One can put in a hysteroscopy by putting in a fluid inside the peritoneum, or you can put in a fluid inside the peritoneum with a needle, and then you do a diagnostic laparoscopy. It will definitely have a better diagnostic result than you would do in the, just directly. So they evaluated 2,288 patients from a Belgian fertility clinic, and endometriosis was not diagnosed by ultrasound or clinical exam before the procedure, and their main outcomes were feasibility, pathological identification, and increased pregnancy rates. And they found that 16% of women in 365 patients had, so they had endometriosis, more than 70% on the left side, characterized by neoangiogenesis, and 20% had spontaneous conception post-fulguration, 58% rate after 8 months, 43.8% total in vivo pregnancy rates with spontaneous or IUI conception, and nearly 30% clinical pregnancy rates after 8 months. Then coming on to that particular group where fertility is not an issue, but women want the uterus to be removed because of pain. And then the challenges are that there are absolutely stuck viscera to the uterus. Now in this condition, where there is a group which has proposed retrograde total laparoscopic hysterectomy, and this is something which has certain key steps where you process the round ligament, the anterior lobe of the broad ligament of the uterus and the ovarian ligament, dissect the urethral roof, finally dissect the vaginal wall, and this is found to be a simple and a safe dissection of tissue planes as close as possible to the edge of the adhesions, avoidance of bladder and rectal injuries, and reduced bleeding, minimizing the possibility of conversion to exploratory laparotomy. So you can see here this is a completely obliterated pouch of Douglas, and this has been well studied on an MRI. And then you are getting an access to the retroperitoneum, which is open parallel to the IPL, and the ureter is identified, and following this ureter till the uterine artery, we saw how Dr. Shailesh Puntambekar had demonstrated in his video, and identifying the coagulation of the uterine artery at its origin from the internal iliac artery, which helps in keeping the field devoid of bleeding. And uterine artery is coagulated but not transacted. Blunt dissection of the vesico-vaginal space is done. And then you can consider doing the retrograde incision of the vagina and retrograde dissection of the paracolpum. So this total laparoscopic retrograde hysterectomy was studied in 92 cases by Yamamoto and group. In 2021 they published this, and this proved to be a feasible and safe approach to severe endometriosis with an obliterated cul-de-sac. Now another important aspect is how do you suture the posterior vaginal breach horizontally or vertically. And this was a publication which showed that symptomatic retrovaginal endometriosis compared two suturing directions, horizontal and vertical, for closing the posterior vaginal defect in women with endometriosis involving vaginal mucosal infiltration. And they concluded that horizontal suturing of the posterior vaginal fornix defect may be associated with a higher frequency of severe postoperative complications and less effective pain control. Now endometrioma is another very easy fruit to pluck, and many times it is approached, sometimes not correctly, and usually it is very important to not only just drain and aspirate and leave it. It's very important that the cyst wall is properly excised. I don't know whether this is going to run. There, if necessary, one can consider doing a hydrodissection for this. Fulguration, sclerosing agents or suturing can be used. Now I'll give you a story of one woman who had reported in an emergency, a 32-year-old married for 2 years, had an acute pain. On the POCUS, that is point of care ultrasound, was diagnosed to have hemorrhagic cyst in both the ovaries and was quickly taken for an emergency surgery without any workup. And then they went and drained both the sides hemorrhagic cysts, fulgurated them, and this woman came to me after 6 months of this treatment. And when I asked her as to what is the reason of her, she wanted to get pregnant. And then when we did her ultrasound, her ovaries had become completely small, and her AMH was just about 0.01, her FSH was already 68. That means this woman had gone in an acquired premature ovarian failure. Now this is something that one must definitely try and avoid. So one must definitely drain, aspirate, do a proper cyst wall excision. If you are not able to do the cyst wall excision, you can do hydrodissection, separate the cyst wall, and whenever you are fulgurating the inside of the cavity, be very careful because you may destroy her reserves of the follicles, the ovarian follicles which are in the ovary, and in that case one may consider using sclerosing agents. So therefore there have been certain innovations here as well, where people are using hybrid APC water jet surgery system, so that will help in removing and clearing the inside of the cyst and not causing adhesions. There can be use of plasma energy instead of the traditional energy source. And you can see that this is the place where the ovary has been filled with a sclerosing agent which will blanch and then gradually get absorbed, and it will take care of the tissues inside. And we have to understand that the presence of the endometriotic cyst itself in the ovary does cause damage to it, and there are various ways in which it can be considered to be treated properly. Now ovariopexy is another wonderful thing that can be done, because many times ovary comes in the field of surgery because it's freely there, and that can get injured. So in such a case, one can consider suspending the ovary to the lateral pelvic wall and then consider doing the rest of the surgery and keeping it there so that there will be no adhesion formation. But people have gone ahead and done a further evolution in that, where they have applied the hyaluronic acid gel rather than doing an ovarian suspension, and this was a randomized clinical trial which compared both these things, and it was found that the endogel may effectively reduce the risk of adhesions 3 months post surgery. Even after one has done endometriosis surgery, it is important that there is some sort of an adhesion barrier which can be put in, and you can see here that this is an adhesion where a gel is formed and that is injected around the place where we have done all the surgical evacuation, fulguration and cleaning, so that adhesions won't be formed. Likewise, there are certain powder for hemostasis with subsequent gel transformation for adhesion prevention in ovarian cyst surgeries, which can be considered, and this kind of a powder of tissue is known to not only cause hemostasis but also acts as an adhesion barrier. Then things have improved and moved on, and where robotic assisted transvaginal as well as natural orifice or robotic assisted surgeries have done a lot of evolution in treating endometriosis, especially deep infiltrating one. And one can consider doing a robotic single port surgery using the Da Vinci surgical systems, so that there will be no repeated sort of port accesses on the mother's tummy. And you can see here that this is a single port through which the various arms have been inserted, so that one can avoid any kind of deportation onto the skin and adherence. One can also consider the fluorescence guided surgery, which is used to improve the detection of endometriotic lesions during surgery using fluorescent dyes such as indocyanine green. And these images using white light and near infrared indocyanine green modes help us in identifying which is the tissue which requires to be fulgurated and taken care of, and that would help in better approach. Now coming to the later part of my talk, and that is adenomyosis. Now adenomyosis is not only the swelling of the uterus, but this particular thing is responsible for various problems. And this is a condition which is prevalent nearly about 50 to 60% of women would be presenting, and they usually present with AUB-A, that is abnormal uterine bleeding. Because of A, we use the palm coin classification for doing this. So it's an enlarged uterus with an increased surface. There are a lot of overexpression in the adenomyotic tissue and result of ectopic endometrium. And there can be certain coexisting conditions which may confound your diagnosis, such as the uterine fibroids, and the endometriosis is usually seen to be very commonly associated with adenomyosis and vice versa. So clinically, we are looking at the medical history. The pelvic examination will reveal certain typical findings, where there will be a diffusely enlarged mobile painful uterus, and then the differentiation will depend with the help of imaging, and this would be usually ultrasonography is supposed to be the gold standard of diagnosis, and MRI can add to this information. So as you can see that there are various kinds of informations that one can get on ultrasound, where you will see that there is a change in the plane between the endometrium and the myometrium. There can be a focal or a localized adenomyoma or a diffuse adenomyosis, and these would be better evaluated if you are planning a surgery by doing an MRI, which will show, especially in the posterior adenomyomas, it's always better. Now in 2015, there was a MUSA criteria which was published, and this is something that we use categorically to correctly do what is called as adenomyotic mapping, which will tell us about various features such as cysts, hyperechoic islands, fan-shaped shadowing, translational vascularity, irregular junction zones and interrupted junction zones, etc. And this would then help us in identifying which are the ones where you have to operate and what kind of a surgery would be necessary. So when we look at imaging in adenomyosis, it is important that MRI and transvaginal ultrasonography are the best approaches, while hysterosalpingography and computed tomography would really not give us any great results. So what are the various surgical approaches? There are uterus sparing resections which can be done for especially women seeking fertility in future, ineffective or contraindicated first-line therapies and difficult to excise, but one has to remember that they are very tough tissues, require sharp dissection, and adenomyotic uterus described as woody, making suturing difficult. One can consider doing the wedge resection, transverse incision or Osada type triple flap method before, after doing a proper MRI evaluation, but there are always risks of, there being a uterine rupture early in pregnancy, because these are more than a myomectomy, and these women would require classical cesarean section, abnormal placental attachments. And then there can be post-uterine sparing resection management for conceptional optimization, delaying pregnancy. We can consider using hormonal agents like LNG, IUS, and pregnancy management, and one has to be very careful during their pregnancy journey. Now, outcomes after uterine sparing resection were published in about 12 studies meta-analysis, and it was found that the recurrence rate is about 12.6%, re-intervention rate is about 2.6% after a follow-up of about 14 months or so, and conception rate was found to be 35% of 364 patients, and therefore that definitely gives us a promise that we can consider doing this. There are other treatments which can be also considered, like ultrasound or MRI guided focused ultrasonographic surgery, radiofrequency ablation, laparoscopic radiofrequency ablation, transcervical radiofrequency ablation, thermal ablation, and recurrence of re-intervention rates. Usually these are nearly about 10% to 8.2% in these cases. So when we look at their symptomatic management, start with an NSAID and give them an LNG IUS, and then maybe after, yes, I'm just in a last cycle. So symptomatic treatment and giving an adjuvant in the form of a progesterone would help. And one has to remember that these kind of adenomyomas are also responsible for causing recurrent pregnancy loss. This is the picture of the triple flap surgery that I mentioned to you, and one can consider doing wedge resections. So effective management of adenomyosis and endometriosis requires timely and judicious intervention. Delays in diagnosis and surgery can worsen patient outcomes, and surgery alone is not a definitive cure. A comprehensive multidisciplinary approach is essential for optimal care and true healing. So as I can see that there are many surgeons, urologists, laparoscopic surgeons, robotic surgeons here, I request that yes, go ahead with whatever treatments you wish to, but please take your colleague gynecologist for a second opinion so that there will be a better surgical approach and better restoration of her health. Thank you so much. This being the month of February, I bring you a lot of love from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. It was an excellent presentation, madam, with a practical message.